Hello and welcome to my forge. As my Bretonnian, High Elf and Empire armies are already on the march, I needed some counterpart and also wanted to try to tell a story in English. This is also a small thank you to all my subscribers who can watch my videos but have to read the English subtitles. So this time there will be German subtitles. In the center of the story will be a Beastmen-Army, beginning with the champion of a Centigor unit, as you might have already guessed. Slowly Tethos walked through the forest. He didn't make any noise, as every creature born and grown up in the woods. He came closer to the clearing. It had gotten larger since the last time he had been here. From the darkness between the trees, he watched the laborers removing tree stumps. It was heavy work and they looked exhausted. He snarled quietly. These trees had been here as long as he could remember. Now they were cut down and teared out. These lands belonged to the hunting grounds of his tribe for years. He didn't even know if there ever was another tribe who had claimed them. At the far end of the clearing he could see small huts where the laborers slept at night. He also saw some warriors clad in black iron and helmets which covered the upper part of their faces. They were standing near a small encampment consisting of a house with a small tower and an unfinished palisade wall. There were also other people there, the ones who supervised the workers. If the workers didn't work hard enough, they made use of their whips and weren't thrifty with beatings. Tethos bared his teeth in a grin. This was something he understood very well. Lazy or incompetent workers needed to be punished. They would learn or they would die, and even in death they provided food for the tribe. Tethos knew on the other side of the river behind the trees was the estate of these intruders. When it was a good day, you could see the smoke from their mills and ovens rising like black fingers trying to reach the sky. For years they had stayed on the other side of the river, but now they had decided to interrupt the tribe's hunting grounds. This was something the Great Lord couldn't allow. He had sent Tethos and his group of Centigors to observe what the Dark Elves were doing. All had started with cutting down trees. Then they came closer and closer to the large black pine under which one of their holy hearthstones was sheltered. The tree was big, old, and under his arms stood the stone, a black rock which downright pulsed with the energy of the dark gods. Tethos always felt exhilarated when he came near it. He reached down to his belt and took a deep sip from his wineskin. It was his last. When this skin was gone, he would have gone back to drinking fermented milk, which never had the same effect as wine or the liquors of the Dark Elves. Tethos wiped his mouth with the back of his hand and put the skin away. His eyes were wandering over the open terrain when he noticed some strangers had arrived. They weren't laborers, guards or overseers. It seemed as if they were inspecting the site. They had come on the reptiles the Dark Elves called Nakarada, judging by the stench the wind brought to him. No ordinary warrior rode on these beasts. Only their bravest or most stupid warriors did. He had seen them charge into battle and the carnage they could do. Again, Tethos bared his teeth when he thought of this battle. After their defeat, Revrod the One-Eyed killed Solar Longhorn, the old chieftain, and became the new one. They had to retreat to this side of the river, forced to give up great parts of their hunting grounds. For many years Revrod had led them to many victories, rallying smaller tribes to his herd. Now it was time to reclaim the lost territories, and show these presumptuous weaklings who the true masters of the lands were. Tethos looked to his left side and nodded to Canok, a dark-haired brute with a broken horn. I have to look out for this one, he thought. This one will try to usurp my position. Canok gave the sign to the others. Then Tethos looked to Sinrek to his right side. He nodded also. Then they retreated into the woods. When they were out of earshot, the herd of Centigors united and took their paths between the trees to the camp. It was sited next to a small hill on which stood another hearthstone, surrounded by a stockade of thorny bushes. Usually the herd didn't do this, but Revrod had ordered the No-Horns to erect one as a separation for his most trusted war leaders. When they reached camp, they made their way to the stockade. Thundering through the camp of earthholes and crude tents, they stormed through a group of Ungors and didn't care if one of their smaller brethren was crippled or killed. Angry shouts followed them. At the entrance of the stockade they stopped. Tethos wasn't allowed to enter, even if he wasn't a simple warrior. He and his herd were mostly entrusted with reconnaissance missions because of their speed. The Bastigors guarding the entrance crossed their axes and barred the way inside. "No one's allowed inside," snarled the bigger one of the two. Tethos looked at them in despise. These two-legged morons had no idea who he was. "I am Tethos Blackmane, warlord of the Red Hunter tribe, sent out by Revrod the One-Eyed to spy out the enemies desecrating our holy hunting grounds." The smaller one opened his mouth, but before he could speak, another voice was heard. Tethos looked down and saw the small toady Angor Urchak. He was Revrad's bootlegger and never far away from the great chieftain. Revrad used him to cool down his mood. Urchak often had bruises but was never beaten or kicked by any other beastman than Revrad himself. This gave the small beastman the assurance to bully around his bigger brethren, fully knowing no one would harm the great chieftain's pet.
You come late, filthy Centigor. What is your report?
Tethos made a step towards Urchak, who shrieked and took cover behind one of the Bestigors, who didn't make a move.
I'm here to report to our chieftain, not to you, stinking Angor.
The chieftain is in contemplation about our next move, so tell me what you have seen,
commanded Urchak with a renewed courage in his voice, still standing behind the Bestigor. Tethos gnawed. He didn't like this worthless bootlegger.
Tell Revrad they cut down more trees. They are starting to fortify their position. They haven't found the Hearthstone yet, but it's just a matter of days.
What do you know, filthy beast?
Urchak snapped at him, stepping before the Bestigor. Tethos made a step towards the little worm, which shrieked again and took 2 steps back.
What is it?
Came a thundering voice from within the enclosure. Great Lord Revrad stepped out of a tent and came towards the entrance.
My lord,
began Urchak, but was cut short as Revrad kicked him into the stomach, making him fly into the thorny bushes. The Angor shrieked as the thorns bit into his skin and he struggled to get out of the branches.
Get lost, you filth! Next time a warlord reports at the gate, you'll lead him direct to me.
Yes, great lord.
It came from Urchak, who was still struggling to get out of the thorns. Revrad focused on Blackmane.
So what do they do, Tethos? My lord, they enlarge the clearing. It's a matter of days until they find the Hearthstone. Also today, for the first time, riders on Nogler inspected the work. It seems that they soon will start with the more permanent buildings.
Revrad nodded.
Then it's time. We'll destroy the camp and kill all of them. Then we'll head for the river, destroy the bridge and the fortifications there. Urchak!
Yes, my lord.
The Angor stood next to the big beastman.
Go and inform the warlords that we'll attack. They shall ready their herds. Also, ask Crothad to visit me. He shall cast the runes.
Yes, master. I'll hurry.
The small Angor ran off into camp.
This will keep him busy for a while, Revrad said. Follow me, Tethos.
Tethos followed in the enclosure and into the tent.
Now tell me, how many enemies are there? I've seen a handful of guards, a few overseers, and at least 2 herds of slaves. And we have surprise on our side. The slaves will offer no resistance. They are mere skin and bones. The guards are so few, they will be dead before they can organize themselves. The gods will be pleased.
Revrad nodded.
So the time has finally come to reclaim our lands. After the slave camp, we'll take the river and destroy their fortifications there.
What about the bridge?
Asked Tethos.
The bridge we'll leave untouched. We needed to cross the river. For our next objective is the estate.
Revrad bared his teeth in a grin.
We will retake what is rightfully ours and leave only ruins behind. Go now, Tethos, and prepare your men. Get some rest, but don't get drunk. You and your Centigors will lead the attack.
So far for the story, and here's the completed Centigor champion. English isn't my first language, so sorry for any mistakes that I made. I don't know if I will start a new army project with this video or if it just will be a single short story, but if you want to see more about Beastmen and more stories about them, then just write me a comment. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to like, share and subscribe. I hope we'll see us soon in my forge.